Hey everyone, and welcome back to
Mama
House. So, oh my gosh, it's been a while. I'm glad to be back. How are you feeling?
I feel okay. How are you?
Good. It's been quite a year, I feel, and it's been nice to speak to some of y'all in person. Like we've been on tour or something, but just like we're so thankful for the support that y'all have given us, and anytime that we meet with y'all kind of talk to us about family and your issues and your struggles, and how do we so easily talk about family. The assumption is that it's so easy for us to talk about family, or that it's like, oh, no biggie. But for me, I personally still have some reservations when it comes to like talking about our family or trauma personally.
Yeah. It's like vulnerable. It's like, because this is what we are and it's just, is what it is. So like putting us out there, even like, of course we still withhold a lot of information because it's our family, but we also want to be real about our lived experiences. But also, like, we didn't choose what happened to us, it happened to us, and we just want to talk about it from our perspective, right? So, and it's also like not to make anyone look bad or whatever, but it's just like, this is what happened to me. We're not saying like, oh, this is what happened to this person, but it's like, this is from my point of view, and we just share it. Because it's vulnerable, it's a little bit like, I feel like I'm kind of showing too much to the world. But the good thing is we get to decide what we want to share. So that's what I like. But no, like, definitely I think about like if a coworker or someone was to come across my videos, they would know a little bit too much. So that's why I don't share it with my coworkers.
It does feel very vulnerable because I feel like in a sense we're very exposed, and obviously this is what we wanted, was to be a place of vulnerability and talking about tough subjects. But sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, do people think this is easy? This is still a challenge for us. And so just to kind of piggyback off of what some people have talked to us about their family, how do we navigate it? And do you have any thoughts or advice on family affairs?
It's helpful because, okay, you and I are siblings, right? So it's like, we don't even need to give background info. We just get each other sometimes, and we just like, we update each other, or like we talk about how we feel because we have the same family members. So it's kind of easier. So I would say, like, if there is someone out there who is like, how do we do it? How do we talk about it? Start with yourself, and then also, of course, it's like, okay, well, besides yourself, start with maybe like a family member that you're close to, whether it's a sister, a brother, a cousin, an auntie, an uncle, like whoever you can really trust, because this is serious stuff. This is like family, someone who's like, who wouldn't view them differently just because you share these things with them. I think that is what's important. But I know that you've been having these conversations more with people who also listen with us. Like, has there been anything new that has transpired since you guys have spoken about talking about family?
Okay, first and foremost, I want to say that we are so lucky to have each other, because I realize in some families there's just nobody who gets them. Like, they can't, like, even if you and I don't agree on everything, but we can at least have a healthy dialogue about it. And I'm so blessed for that, because I realize there are so many people who don't even have that. What are you supposed to do? How do you navigate like your family dynamic, your issues, if there's no one you can even confide in? And so what has transpired, it has made me very grateful for the people who actually do understand me, because like you mentioned, we grew up in the same family, and so we have like that similar upbringing. But even then, you had a different set of parents, as in like how you were treated versus me. And so to have someone who understands you in what you've gone through, and someone who understands that your experience is different from mine, that's so helpful. Because as I listen to people when they, when we discuss Mama House, they're always like, yeah, my sister understands me, or I have this one brother who gets me. How lucky are we to have that?
That's true, because some people have no one in their family.
Zero.
That's gotta be so hard. I can't imagine that, especially like not being aligned in like your values. That's gotta be so hard. I couldn't do it.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's so sad, because the older we get, the more sappy we are and appreciative of family. And so the idea that like there's no one in someone's family that gets them is so sad. So I guess in these conversations, it is helpful to have someone. But I'll also say that, like, if there's nobody in your family, nobody in this world who gets you, make sure you get you.
Period.
Make sure you love you.
Yeah, that's what matters. And I feel like that's where it should begin. Of course, it helps processing it with someone else, but also like knowing what you also experienced and that was real is like you validate yourself. And then just talking with someone else kind of helps validate that too and process it together. But more than anything, even if no one else in your family gets you, at least be a safe space for yourself. I think that's what matters a whole lot more.
I agree because even though we are privileged to have each other and that we understand each other and align, there are going to be some days where it's like, I don't have so here to discuss this with me. I have to be comfortable with this on my own. And even if you're someone who is so blessed to be in a family that is so loving and kind and you all get along, you still need yourself first. So yeah.
And you and I aren't going to have each other forever.
I know, sad face.
Like, whether that's moving away, moving apart, someone getting, into a long-term relationship or traveling abroad, or whether you and I, like, if one of us passes away, like, you'll never know. So we won't have this forever too. So we need to make sure that, like, we're also okay on our own and not reliant on each other to get through these things as well. It's like more like a bonus, like an addition thing.
Exactly. I agree.
And not like, I need you, Wen, to help me get through this, but more like, I process it on my own, and I want to process it with you too.
Like, you're an addition to my life. You don't complete me. Yep. You're a great part of me, but you're not me. I'm me. And so I always try to bring it back to people of, like, love yourself. Be very comfortable with who you are, because that's what you have. But to bring it back to family, I think the problem is that, like, a lot of people don't have themselves. And so they expect their families to fulfill their needs and to complete their voids. Yeah, that's tough to hear about. Like, my family doesn't believe me, or they don't listen to me, and it sucks. But do you believe you? Do you listen to you? If no one in your family ever gets it, do you rely on that you'll just never be got?
Another thing that came to mind was, like, part of your mama house, we talk a lot about our family, but sometimes I find myself filtering a lot, because I feel like sometimes people just take, like, one thing when you say and run with it instead of, like, listening fully. And so I think that's one thing I'm kind of, like, hesitant about, especially, like, with our podcast. But all we can do is our best, and however people take that is on them. I do find myself like, okay, I need to be careful about how I say this, because I don't want some people in our family to be viewed a different way, just because of my experience. I'm just saying that's my experience. Like, we all have different experiences, even of our own with our own mother, right? So, like, you were the favorite daughter, even though you didn't really get benefits from that. Like, you have a different experience, and I have a different experience, and I don't expect you to view her differently just because of my experience. But it's like we each have, like, these pieces to her. It's not like we have a whole picture of her, but it's like, there's a piece that you have, there's a piece that I have, when we just are kind of, like, connecting them.
Yeah, like, for example, So can, like, vent to me about our mom and how upset she was about our mom, and she doesn't have to preface that, but I still love Mom.
Yeah.
Whereas if So is like, you guys, my mom did this and she hurt me, some of our viewers might be like, wow, her mom sucks, she must hate her mom, she must be resentful. And it's like, that's not the case, y'all. So, like, when we share these things about ourselves, there's a part of us that is protecting ourselves and protecting our loved ones, and at the same time still wanting to be vulnerable and honest.
It's just the reality of things. It's not to make her look bad or for y'all to view anyone differently. Even like your view on church, for example, because we talk about church trauma too. It's not to impact your view on the church, but it's just like, this is just my experience. And we just talking about our experiences.
And even when we talk about church trauma, for example, and you're expressing, like, you know, thoughts on it, there's a part of me that still knows you enjoyed it. There were still moments where you had a great time. So not everything is everything you see. Like, if I say my favorite color is orange, that doesn't mean I only wear orange. There's still nuances in life. And that's kind of what keeps us a little bit reserved talking about certain topics on Mama House. But we want to address this because people have, like, been like, I want to hear you guys talk more about your family. And I guess this is us explaining, like, we want to, we really do, and we're going to. But these are some things that kind of keep us guarded from completely.
What y'all want to know? Ask questions, because I'm like, sometimes we have no idea, like, what we want to talk about, so we just share whatever we, like, has been on our hearts that week or whatever. But, like, if y'all are curious about certain things, definitely comment below or so. One thing I thought of is, like, being around family who has like different political views.
I swear we must be on the same telepathic level, because I was just gonna say that.
You know, a part of me, I was reflecting on this. I was like, you know, honestly, I'm kind of an avoidant person. Like, sometimes I just don't have the energy for that stuff. Like, I don't want to debate. I don't want to argue with you about this. You either get it or you don't. And I'm not about to be here and convince you anything. So, like, for me, with my family, sometimes I just don't want to talk about it with people who, like, have opposing views or different views. Just because I feel like, and it depends on the person, of course, right? Because sometimes it's just to argue, and sometimes I can tell it's to genuinely understand. If I feel it's to understand different different perspectives, I'm more open to it. But if it's like clearly just want to argue, I don't got time to waste. I'm not gonna put my energy into that. So I like try to avoid those conversations. So I think like they used to try more with me, but I'm just like, whatever. I don't want to get into it. But with you, I know you've had some like conversations with different political views with some of our family members. Like, how do you navigate that? Because I'm sure some of our listeners who want to talk about family, I'm sure the different political views and different values impact their relationships and family in general.
It's hard as hell because you grow up and you think, I don't know, my assumption was that people kind of thought like me. It was just like a very close-minded point of view.
Or family?
Family specifically.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know, we grow up, we have the same experience. You eat the same food. I kind of just assumed. And then I grew up and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're all very different in thought, in ideas, in concepts, in the way that we organize our beliefs and even choose to believe. This is tough because for a long time, I would engage and entertain these sort of political, moral conversations. But you gotta figure out like what their intention is. If someone is genuinely asking me like, hey, what do you think about this? I'll entertain that. I'll talk about it. However, I started picking up where people are just rage baiting me and trying to pick a fight with me. I ain't got time to debate with you. If you believe that children in Gaza deserve what's going on, get the fuck out of my face. I don't have time for that. Period.
If you're anti-immigration, like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Our parents were immigrants.
Yeah. I absolutely have no problem cutting people off where needed. Not saying that I love it, but when I say I have no problem, I mean, do I want to be morally aligned with someone that thinks like this? Someone that could perpetuate this type of harm against another person. Do I want this? Because I've gotten to a point where I understand why people say family is who you choose. Yeah. So that has mattered a lot to me. So in where I'm at right now with family is learning where to pick and choose your battles. Truly. I used to really struggle with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to... I don't know if it's debates, but yeah, you would get into a lot of debates, and I'm like, ooh, wasn't it exhausting? Even like being present during debates, sometimes I'm like, that's too much.
Okay, and the reason I agree, I used to really be in those conversations because I always felt like this person, whether it's like family or a friend or something like that, if they're extremely conservative or they have a totally different type of view than me, they'll never be in the same room as someone who thinks differently than them. So let me use this moment to express my thoughts and ideas. And then I realized, well, there's a reason why nobody who opposes your views want to be in the same room as you. You don't allow space to have a dialogue about this. So then I don't want it anymore either.
Yeah, it is definitely a little tricky. Cause it's like, it's people we love dearly, but I'm like, how is it we have such different views? But also it kind of makes sense. Like with the way that we grew up, because we have different experience already with like the different privileges that we have, right? Like we're women in this world. We grew up without that privilege of being a male. So of course our brothers have different experience, and then we grew up in MPS schools.
Yeah, we went to public schools,
and then the universities we went to too. Well, yours is pretty white university, but
it's pretty
like,
liberal, yeah.
Right. So it's like that really changes things, like education.
Yeah.
What else changed things? The friends that
service, military service, your age of where you grew up, your like friends. Your religion.
Yeah, your religion. Sometimes I'd be so surprised still that like some of our family members are still like very religious-y, but don't practice it. But then the reason why they believe their political views is because of their religion, which is just very interesting.
Yeah. And then if you know me, you know that if we're going to talk about beliefs and politics and certain things, I want to know why you think that. what are the supporting beliefs that make you feel that people shouldn't be able to be here? Explain that to me. And most of the times they cannot. They'll just be like, well, criminals. Okay, well, let's talk statistics then. Yeah. But they can't get into that. And so in the conversations that I've had with some of y'all, you're talking about like, you know, my family is closed-minded. They don't understand me. You know, my brothers don't support me. And it's like, oh my gosh, are we all living the same life?
Yeah, it's so hard. And we also can't talk about this without adding the cultural stuff too.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's like, there's a lot of the cultural stuff where they just, honestly, in our culture, sometimes women is not cared for, you know? We're looked down upon, and as if like men is just valued way more.
Oh.
So that affects things too.
And then one of the questions I got was like, how does your family feel watching y'all's videos? Honestly, I don't think we have the support.
Yeah, do y'all watch?
They don't watch.
I know a few of y'all watch. Well, maybe like a few. Yeah, maybe like 3.
Yeah, but they don't for the most part.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Unless they secretly do.
Maybe, but a lot of people watch and they don't support.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Y'all still sort of supporting by watching.
Yeah, it's
so,
just...
thank you, I guess. Even if you're a hater.
Yeah, a lot of people just come on here and want to get the tea, I guess. But
yeah.
I guess the tea is that we're just going to keep it real. That's the tea that you can always get.
Mm-hmm. So that's the tea for today. All right? Okay, y'all heard it. Some of us and our siblings, we got different political views, different values, different religious beliefs. Of course, that plays into all of that.
Yeah.
But it's also very interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out what I claim to believe. But I still feel like a lot of it is rooted in Christianity. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, but also some of our siblings, their beliefs are rooted in Christianity. But our political views are so different. But also, with like my profession and life, it's like, oh, of course. But it's like, but also, if you're a Christian, wouldn't you care about the homeless? Wouldn't you care about the needy? Wouldn't you care about the orphans and the widows and the immigrants? Wouldn't you care about children? Wouldn't you care about family? That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's wild because you and I are not in the same field of work at all.
Yeah, and we're on the same page.
I'm in a completely different industry.
Yeah.
And you and I align on that. And I feel like it's hard... Yeah, in your career, I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally expect you to, to be more like progressive in this way. But in my field of work, most of my colleagues are very conservative, very rich, very
crazy.
Career driven. I'm more social justice. It just depends on you as a person.
Yeah, I expect me and my colleagues to be a certain way too, because I'm like, we're working with these families. We better be pro social justice. Mm-hmm. But maybe a lot of people don't know what that looks like or means, because to them, it's at the oppression of other people for their benefit.
Okay. So what are some, besides addressing the issues that we have experienced, what are some tips that we can give our viewers who are like in this dynamic where there's a wedge in between their relationships?
I'm glad you brought that up, because they're probably like, well, okay,
yeah, well,
now
we know.
have this.
Bitch, we know. Like, there are
true.
issues. How do we resolve them?
That's hard. I would just... the first thing that came up to my head was like, preserve your energy, take care of yourself. Not everything deserves your energy or a conversation. Like, sometimes people are really they just want to argue with you and disagree and to fight. Some siblings are like that, and I think like once you're unbothered, it's like they can never have that hold of you, a hold on you like that, because they want a reaction from you. But when you're just like, whatever, I don't got time for this, it's okay to walk away. So set boundaries for yourself in that way.
I agree with the setting boundaries, but also to set boundaries, you have to know yourself. Understand who you are, what you like, what you don't like, because for me, if I don't know something or I don't have a stance, I'm not going to sit there and argue with you back and forth. I'm going to tell you, I don't have the information. I don't know. It's okay to not know. And it's also okay to be like, I see what you're saying and I disagree. So when it comes to family, I would also say, don't have no expectations. I know we grow up and we think, oh, my big brother, my big sister is like this, or my little sister should be like this. Yeah, at some point, those roles kind of dissolve just a little bit, because so is my younger sister. She's our baby sister, but she's also a grown woman. She's smart. She has thoughts. She has her own beliefs. You have to allow people to be themselves.
I can think for myself.
You think for yourself?
Oh, thank you. You think I think for myself?
You're welcome. But having no expectations, and also it comes with like just being real. Like, honestly, we've gotten to a point where it's like, I don't expect anything from our mom. what I expect is that maybe the best thing that she could have done for me is just be the person to bring me to earth, to give life to me. And I'm 30 now, and so I can raise myself, I can parent and nurture myself, and it's sad. So it's like, oh my gosh, sorry, one last thing I want to add is you can understand the reality of something and still not be okay with it. Like, I want more from my mom, I'm not going to get it, and fuck, that's sad, but I'll be all right.
Another thing that came up to my mind is like seeing people for who they are and like their patterns, you know, like I think a lot of times when we are not aligned politically or have the same values, it's like sometimes we want to engage in the conversations to like maybe change that, but you can only share your perspective, and then whatever goes on from there moving forward is out of your control, right? So I would say like don't go into it trying to change their views, because people are who they are. They're gonna be who they are, and but also people can also change. So it's not to say that there's like no hope for our siblings to grow. I think we all are on our own journeys, and you know, there was a time where I wasn't where I am now too.
Same.
So I'm like, okay, then there's also grace here as well, and we still love our siblings very much despite the different political views. She hungry.
My stomach's always growling when we're filming.
That's okay. We'll eat after this. But yeah, you know, so I just want to bring you back to that. Like, you know, we are on different like journeys politically, and that's okay. Because I remember even in the past when I was like, it was like the beginning of high school for me, or maybe it was at the end of middle school, and you were sharing with us about Black Lives Matter, and I really didn't understand because, you know, when especially if you're someone who's privileged and you're just like, you automatically kind of result to saying like, oh, all lives matter, and you like educated me, and I remember from that day moving forward I was like, oh, okay, so that's why, because you used
I do not remember doing that.
I remember because you were like explaining Black Lives Matter, and I was genuinely like, no, all lives matter, and then I was asking you, we had a conversation. You were still in high school, and you were like, okay. And then you gave the example with like someone's at dinner and there's one person who's not eating, but everyone else is eating. And you're basically saying this person deserves food. And then it's like as if I'm saying, oh, but everyone deserves food. But you're saying, but this one deserves food. That example helped me to understand that
I did not remember
Black
that.
Lives Matter. Yeah. I was a little girl and you were only in high school too. And you were like educating me. And I don't know why we weren't taught this in school either. But like from that day on, I was like, okay, I get it. So, yeah. So yeah, you really educated me. So it's like at that time I wasn't where I am now, and that's okay. We're all on our own journeys.
Okay, and I want to add to that by saying sometimes you plant a seed and that seed plants a seed in you, because I don't remember having that conversation with So, but there also came a time in 2020 when the riots were happening. I was like, I don't know why they have to riot though, and you were like, well, when they've been through a lot, like you can't tell someone how to struggle or how to deal with oppression or how to, you know, what to do with their revolution. I was like, OMG, that's so true. And so I think the thing to notice here though is that like we always went into it with like an open heart to receive and to understand. If you realize somebody in your family or in your world doesn't have that, it's okay to recognize that.
Yeah, it's okay to be like, I don't know, and also it's so okay to ask questions. I think maybe that's what people fear doing. Like, it takes courage to ask questions. I think we fear being judged or ashamed for the political views that we have, but it's okay to ask questions to better understand things. Like, we were able to ask each other that. We had a safe space too, like, to do that. So, like, who do you have to have a safe space to have those conversations? I think that's what matters. Because I feel like maybe there is, like, a lack of safety there if you can't even have these conversations with your siblings. So find someone you do trust. To have those conversations.
Yeah, honestly, family is not just about agreeing. Like, we didn't understand and you come back and you're better because of it. I think it's weird to also think that everyone should think the same as you. That would also be a little boring.
That's true. How would we grow either, you know?
You just couldn't.
Yeah. I think it's actually so good because I think people think we're so similar, but we're actually so different too.
Yeah.
And like we do be having these conversations. Like we even have different views on like people's decisions on being vaccinated at times. So it's like, but there's not really like a right or wrong way in some of these conversations. It's just like we just understand people differently of their decisions to vaccinate or not.
Yeah. Right.
It's not like I'm right, you're wrong, but it's just like, okay, we have a discussion.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, this is why you feel this way, this is why I feel this way. Yeah.
Wow, family is tough though, y'all. Like, it's a tough thing to navigate, especially since a lot of people build their world around their family. I'm in a spot where I'm like, I'm understanding, like, I'm an individual person. I came into this world alone. I'm gonna go alone, and that's not on anything sad or depressing. It's just the fact of the matter. When I go to bed and I lay my head down, nobody's there with me in my head but me and God. So I want to get very comfortable with that. I really want to encourage y'all to get comfortable with that too. You can't wait for your family to catch up or to understand you. You just got to do it.
That's true. Can't wait on people forever. I think it's okay to have our differences and go with it. That is out of our control. We can't, like, how would it be like if we coerce everyone to believe what we believe, or if people try to force us to believe what they believe, you know? We have free will here. We get to decide what we do with our own selves.
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful thing about, like, love, is that it is free will. It gives you the choice. And if someone's trying to support people being kidnapped by ICE, and that's your family member, and you don't agree with it, your choice could be, I don't want to have this conversation with this sibling. I don't want to be around them right now. I don't know. I guess you do what you got to do for yourself. You figure it out.
Yeah, we can't tell you what to do, but trust yourself. Trust your intuition. I think you already know. Maybe you just want encouragement, and that's okay too. Yeah, but trust yourself. That'll take you really far too. You validate yourself. You don't need nobody to validate you.
Yeah, I hope this helps with, like, I know a lot of you guys want to see us talk more about family, and this is just a very real thought process we have around discussing our family, because we have so much love and respect for our family. At the same time, we disagree with a lot of things. We don't, we're just not aligned in the same way, but that doesn't mean that the truth isn't the truth. It just is very complex. And so, yeah, going forward, I think we will talk more about Trauma, because this is what we wanted to do, was bring people together in our family traumas, I guess, and that we can do something with it. We can alchemize it, make it a safe space, and learn from it.
Thank you all for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you guys, and if that's it, we will see you on the next episode.